What's up, guys? Papa Eagles back in the nest, and welcome back to another Stormbound video. So in today's Stormbound video, I'm actually going to be showing you all how to start out in a Stormbound, or how to start out your Stormbound account, more like. So I know a lot of you are actually experienced players, and you can comment down below if I make some mistakes or if you have something to add to my video. But I got a comment about this a little while ago that basically was asking, you know, how can I start out at this game because I'm kind of new to it. Now, obviously, I'm not a rank 1 player. I don't try very hard. I use custom decks and all that sort of stuff. I'm not really trying to get the best deck. But anyways, so today I'm just going to show you some fun little things you can do. So, now, when you start out in Stormbound, obviously you don't have as many cards as I do. And that's fine. That's all part of it. So, the first thing you're going to want to do when you get your Stormbound account up is just play through all the campaign missions. These 4, they'll give you a total of 16 cards for each faction, also some rewards along the way. So you just always want to do the campaign missions. So then when you get to that point, you're going to want to pick a faction. So we're going to make a new deck here. Now, basically, Winter's Pact faction deals with mana and the manipulation of it, like gaining it and also, gaining it and spending it during your turn, also refunding, things like that. Swarm of the East is all about speed. You can command units forward. Ironclad Union is pushing and pulling units, basically. Tribes of Shadowfen is all about poison. So, once you decide which one you like to use, I think that Ironclad Union or Swarm of the East is best for beginners. So, let's just say we're going to use Swarm of the East. Now, you're probably going to have the most basic cards like Shady Ghoul, maybe Doppelbox, definitely Moonlit Aerie, and Pan Heralds probably. And so what we're going to do, we're just going to put in a basic Satyr-oriented Swarm deck. So we're going to put in Shady Ghoul, Doppelbox, Swarm Callers, Pan Heralds, Moonlit Aerie. Broken Truce is always a good card. Dread Fawns. Now, I have the Queen of Herds. You probably will not have the Queen of Herds. So we're going to leave her out of this for now, just so that you can kind of see what a basic Swarm deck would look like. Also, my cat is sitting on my microphone right now. No, get off my keyboard. Okay. Alright, now, I'm going to put in Mischiefs as well because they're just a good chip card for everyday use. Now, once you have all of your faction-specific cards, get off my keyboard, cat. Okay. Once you have all your faction-specific cards, you're going to want to go to Neutral. Now, in Neutral, basically, what you want to do, you want to fill up your deck with really inexpensive cards that can be used basically in any occasion, like Gifted Recruits. They can be used at any time. Another thing you're going to want to do is you're going to include really weak cards, or not weak, like inexpensive cards like Lawless Herd. And then for my final neutral card, now you can actually put in some varied stuff here. Like, I really like to use Westwind Sailors. I have mine level 3, so they start out with 5 on the spawn. You can put whatever you want in here, really. We're just going to put in Westwind Sailors. Now, with our new Swarm deck, as you can see, an important little bit is to maintain pretty good low average mana. So, what you want to do, out of the 12 cards in your deck, you want to have maybe the first 8 or 7 or 8 below 4, like 4 or below. Obviously, you don't want to have like 8 4-mana cards. That's not good. So, as you can see, we have 1 mana, 2 mana, 2 mana, 4 3-mana cards, 3 or 4-mana cards, and then a 5 and a 6. Basically, you want to have a good low average. So, what is our average right there? Let's see, 5 and a 6, that's 11, 15. You know, whatever. I'm not going to do that math right now, but I'd say it's around like 3.3. Now, we're just going to go into a battle. But before I do that, I'm going to share with you my number 1 tip for new Stormbound players. It's just to keep playing. That's the tip. Just to keep playing. Because you never know what's going to happen in a battle. Like, you might be at rank, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And you might run into somebody who literally just ends the match immediately and you get a free win. Just keep battling, you know, climb ranks progressively regardless of if you're actually winning or not. Obviously, if you have a terrible deck, you're going to lose a lot, but then you'll end up at a rank where it's about your skill level and then you can adjust your deck accordingly. Another thing you want to be aware of is your quests. Like right now, I am really slacking off with my quests. I don't even have a working Shadowfen deck. I mean, I have one, but it sucks. because I'm trying to find a way to use Claxy, but it didn't really work. Then Mastery of Cold. Freeze units with Winter Pact. I could use a Winter Pact deck, but that's not the goal of this video. Anyways, we're going to go into a battle. Hopefully we'll get our rank 22 rewards, which is 5 rubies. Then I'll have a grand total of 20. And yeah, that would be nice. So as proper etiquette, as a beginning Stormbound player, you always want to do the wave and a handshake. Oh, is he part of the flock? Will he return the handshake? No, he didn't return the handshake. That's fine. But something you also want to be mindful of is trying to max out your mana. As a beginning Stormbound player, I see lots of people who have like 10 mana or so only use 5 of it. And you don't want to do that. You want to use as much mana as possible on your turn most of the time. Obviously, there are special cases where it's better to save some. Or, I mean, better to use a card instead of spawning 2 cards. But usually you want to use up all your mana, because that will generally grant you the most net units on the field, or net strength. That's just another thing you want to be mindful of. So, like, think of it this way. If I used my Shady Ghoul there, I'd have 1 left over, which, I mean, I could have comboed with Lawless Herd, but I didn't know I would get that card yet. So you just want to be aware. Also, another thing, if you're a really new Stormbound player, is find out which cards you really enjoy using. Like cards that are your favorite, maybe they work really well against the opponents that you face, and upgrade those cards. It's really important to upgrade your cards, because you might not think +1 unit is that important, but it really is. It's leaps and bounds ahead of where you start. Like, I can't even imagine going back to having only 3 units on my gifted recruits. Like, that would just be a death sentence for me, because that doesn't work. That's not strong enough anymore. So just figure out what you like and upgrade it. So I really enjoy using Westwind Sailors and Gifted Recruits, so that's why they're both level 3 for me. Alright, we're going to replace Herald Tim. Okay, so now early attack strategies that usually work. Basically just get people on their baseline as fast as possible. So you see he's kind of stuck now because he has to go through my Mischiefs to get to my Shady Ghoul, and obviously I'll do a little bit of damage usually. So just always trying to maintain base pressure. Also, a strong front line is always important. See, now, because alright, so as I mentioned, the strong front line is important. Our Shady Ghoul will definitely help us preserve that front line because he spawns something after he dies. So, it's just a little tidbit of info that you might want. Now, the reason we spawn those Swarm Callers back there is so our Moonlit Aerie can actually do some work if it decides to. So if our Swarm Callers survive, our Moonlit Aerie will give the buff out to Swarm Callers. I could have spawned something farther back, but I chose not to. Now this guy, okay, that was a pretty good play on his part. But see, he has 1 mana left over. That's why you kind of want to include a really low costing unit, so you can use all that mana up easily. Now we're gonna spawn Doppelbox over here. And then I'm going to push up. Okay, well, so what we're going to do, we're going to spawn the Gifted Recruits back here. And now the reason I did that is because this Windmaker, if I had my Gifted Recruits walk up all the way, the Windmaker would have been able to use his attack ability and end up killing my guys. So just while you're placing units, be aware of certain effects and things that could adjust the nature of the attack that you've just placed. So, you know, there's a lot of things. I know there's a lot of things that you need to keep a watch for, but that's just all part of being a good Stormbound player. Now, this guy has really upgraded cards. He actually has more upgraded cards than I do. He's got like level 3s everywhere, but we can still deal with him because we are a smarter player, I believe. So, as I said earlier, that Windmaker his effect only procs if he's attacking somebody. So if we attack him first, doesn't matter. Nothing happens. Now we're going to spawn Dreadfawns here. Now the reason I spawn Dreadfawns is because I really want to get some use out of this Moonlit Aerie. Right now it's just kind of sitting there and taking up space. So I spawn the Dreadfawns in order to get a bunch of Satyrs on the board. And hopefully they'll be able to do some good work for me. Now, the one problem I do see is if he pushes all the way to the right column, he can get all the way down to my baseline, and my Satyrs will be too stuck to really adjust to it. Okay, so he spawned a Blade Storm. 1 to 3 damage. Hopefully it doesn't murder everything. Okay, They did a lot of damage. But see, he only used 5 out of 9 mana. That's crazy. He could have used so much more, but he just didn't have, I guess, the right cards in his hand to do that. We're gonna spawn Mischiefs, a Lawless Herd, and then Pan Herald's over here. Pan Herald's got buffed. Now they're super sick. Okay, so he's got no troops on the field, which is great, although his front line still is pushed up 3 rows, which is not as great, but we definitely have the advantage here with a structure and a fairly solid sideways T formation in our units. Now, there's a couple things we can do next turn if he allows our guys to get to the front. See, this guy is sort of a pay-to-win player, in my opinion. Because, as you can see, if he spawned his personal servers later, they would have been able to buff up those Windmakers, but he didn't, so their effect was wasted. Just be mindful of the effects of your cards and how they can be used, because that guy, he could have done much better things, but he chose not to because he didn't realize what his cards could do. Now we're going to spawn Swarm Callers in here. They'll get a buff of 6, I believe, yes. And now we're going to spawn Shady Ghoul up here and really put some pressure on him. So now, as you can see, while we do have guys up on his front line, we also have a healthy backbone. We got a total of 5 units on that third row, I mean, sorry. So basically, even if he manages to take out our units pushing him directly, those units in the back will end up pushing up and we'll still have a furthest advanced front line. Basically just ensuring that we can keep pushing. And if you'll notice, just a couple minutes ago I made this deck completely off the top of my head, and guess what? It's actually working pretty well. Simply because it's balanced. Oh geez, Armed Schemers are really strong. But see, it doesn't matter. Shady Ghoul preserved the front line, and he actually ended up conceding. Okay, so as you can see, you can make a deck in like 5 minutes, and it will just work out. Hey, that's my first one of the day. Didn't even realize. Maybe I must be in a different time zone. Okay, anyways, we ranked up to rank 22. That is amazing. We're getting our 5 rubies. Awesome. Now, so as you can see, I've got 100 coins. I can do a couple things with this. I can either choose to upgrade my cards or buy a pack. I'm going to buy a pack because I'm a gambling man. Also, I was super jealous because one of my friends, he got Kindred Grace, that's really good. He got a Project Phoenix out of a Splendid book. I was like, how does that even happen? So, with your money, obviously, first step, what to do with your coins. First step, upgrade the cards that you love using. If you don't have enough copies of those cards, you can obviously use Fusion Stones, but I doubt that a new player will be getting those very soon. So you either upgrade cards that you love using, or buy some packs to get those cards. Now, yeah, that's just a little thing that you can do with your coins. Also, as a recommendation for rubies, I usually try to save up for like a mythic book. Obviously, it's really expensive, but sometimes they do put it on sale, and that really pays off. Anyway, so just remember, as a beginning Stormbound player, keep your eyes open on the field, always. Just look at abilities and placements. And also, just think about how your mana balancing is working and how efficiently you're using it. So those are my main 3 tips for the Stormbound Battlefield. And then as just a tip for the game in general, just remember to have fun. As take after I do, just make silly decks, do whatever. And also, just remember to keep playing, because you never know what's going to happen when you hop into a match. So, thank you guys so much for listening to me today. And I hope you learned something. So just remember, experienced players, if I forgot something, leave it in the comments below. Please don't roast me, but you can respectfully disagree. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. See you guys next time.